He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
And we're back.
We're back.
Second week of March. It was so warm in Toronto last week. I think it was 16 one day, right?
Yeah. It was like one of these days, first thing in the morning, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then by midday, it was like a storm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
like, that's Canadian weather. What do we expect?
Well, hold on. 16 in March is not Canadian weather, right?
It is now. It's the new norm.
Yeah. And as I constantly get in trouble with this, if this is climate change just for the GTA, I'm good. Like,
oh my God.
You could take me out and shoot me, but I'm good. They're like, it was going to be 16 in March.
Yeah.
Jiminy crickets.
We didn't even get, we got what, 1 day of snow?
That's crazy. Like we've had, there was maybe never more than 6 centimeters ever?
Yeah.
And it just went away.
It sucked for all the winter sports, like skiing, snowboarding, it all sucked.
Yes. Oh. But for old fat men, it's good. I'll tell you what, it is good. We don't do no winter sports. Our idea of a winter sport is that we eat indoor food. That's all. People are wondering, what is indoor food? Is he high? Is he high? Is he high, this guy? It means we don't barbecue. Anyway. All right, lots happening this week. There's lots going on. Mm-hmm. We had the Bank of Canada announcement last week.
We had the Ronald announcement first.
The Ronald announcement the day before the Canada announcement. We had the Tiff Macklin puppet saying how disgusted he was with me, that I should drown in my own filth. That is a mean guy, that Tiff Macklin
fighting
puppet.
words.
Yeah, that's fighting words. Exactly right. And we're going to see some more. We're going to see Tiff on every announcement day, right? We're going to see Tiff on every announcement
He'll come
day.
around, yeah.
He's going to come around. We're going to see more of Tiff. When I told other mortgage brokers I'm doing a Tiff Macklin puppet, they just said, "Oh my God, you're so disrespectful." The answer is fuck yeah.
It's called dedication. Commitment
to the angry, abusive aesthetic. Okay, that's it. What did you tell the people who phone in about me? You were saying you'd tell people.
Yeah. People ask me "Oh, is Ron really how he seems online?" And I'm like, "Listen, you get what you like. What you see is what you get. Essentially, it's literally copy paste. This is who he is. We embrace it."
By the way, I do I wear the tie in the office?
You do.
I look like this 24/7.
Yeah. Us, on the other hand, I promise I don't look this nice in the office.
But look, am I angry in the office? Not all the time, but some of the time.
But when you're mad, you are mad.
Oh, fuck. Yes.
We are living the angry mortgage life.
You are
day to day.
You are dripping in angry mortgage. That's for sure. It is so angry. It is intense anger.
It is. It's literally survival of the fittest in the office.
So the good news, folks, is it's not a fake.
Nope.
That's the good news. It's not a fake. It's not put on. This is not an act. And by the way, there's a number of lenders and underwriters who will also attest to that.
Yeah. A couple BDMs who might do.
All right. Lots happened last week other than the announcement that Ron already announced early, and absolutely nothing happened. The other stuff going on. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the housing market in Canada, because if you're into the second week of March, in theory, it is starting to become the spring real estate season. Okay. So people say, wait a second, spring? I mean, it's March, dude. I mean, it ain't spring yet. So
Feels like it, though.
It is warm. But the other thing that people have to understand is that the house buying process is not instantaneous.
Of course.
Like nobody wakes up one day and says, call the realtor, we got to find one tonight. I mean, that's not how it works, okay? I mean, people need to get pre-approved. So there's a lot of mortgage activity now getting pre-approved. Then people got to find the house. and people have got to buy the house, and they got to win the offer, or sometimes there's no offers, but they've got to select the home. There might be some things happen, like inspection reports. House might fall through. You never know. We see that.
Conditional offers all the time.
Absolutely, that happens. So the pros, and then finally, you got a firm offer, goes firm, and doesn't close for another 60 days or 75 or whatever the case may be. Okay, so you have to get started now for the actual closings of the purchases to happen a couple of months from now, 2-3 months from now, because that's just how it works.
Right.
The house buying is not online, right? You just don't put in
not
a bid
online shopping.
not online, it's not like buying, not like doing a tour to Cuba. I mean, you can't have it all wrapped up in 15 minutes and you're all finished and paid for. I mean, that's not how it works. But yeah, this is the beginning, and there is some real estate activity. There are offers, there is. So how do we break it down? We break it down like in Ontario, BC, Alberta. I'm just not a big enough expert on Quebec to really say what's going on there, so I'll leave it alone. But what I get from BC is sort of just percolating, like it's not hot, it's not cold. Obviously, we're coming off a very, very bad year in real estate sales, worst year in 25 years. For units, that's for units sold, for the number of actual houses sold. Worst in Canada, 25 years. So BC, the reports I get and the results we look at, kind of okay, just sort of steady, but not really blowing up at all. Not as bad as it was in Ontario last year, because Ontario was bad. There was very few sales last year in Ontario compared to other years. What's going on in Alberta? Pretty steady. Still, I give full credit to the, sometimes you have to say that some governments are doing things right. Okay. And Alberta, I'm just going to put it out on the table. Alberta really doesn't give a shit about density. And when you don't give a shit about density, it's easier to produce housing. It's just that simple. Don't get me wrong. They got some high rises. They got some condo developments. But they just shovel out single family homes, townhomes, and semis. Like let's just build the fuckers. Let's just go, hey, look, oh dear, like we're going to lose out on ranch land. Fuck off. There's enough stuff in the rest of Alberta. There's enough places in Saskatchewan that are empty. We don't give a shit. We're just going to build houses. Okay. Now, when I say that, there's like people in Toronto who like want to reach through the screen and kill me. Okay. Like if it's a religion, density is a religion, right? Like, we must have 50. I'm doing my TIFF voice. So I could do a different voice. Like, who should I do? Should I do Doug Ford? Yeah, I'll do Doug Ford. We gotta have density, folks. We gotta do the right thing, folks. And it's my friends, we gotta do it so that it's good density, and that's good. Yeah, dude, like they don't give a shit in Alberta. They just build the houses, and the roads come, and people get around. Okay,
they get shit done.
And guess what? The prices are not bad. Okay, the prices are more reasonable. The product is more reasonable. People are getting what they want. So good for them. And the market activity is still pretty good. When we come to Ontario, it's I think the best word. I was talking to a smart guy just today from the who's on the sale of multifamily, basically sells apartments. Okay, smart guy, young guy, smart guy. And choppy. We both agreed the best way to describe this real estate market is choppy. That seems to be what we're discovering. Like literally some weeks are better than others. Some weeks are not great. And each situation is different. We'll see a house. Now there is a lot of still foolishness in the market. Like there's foolish low listings, right? Like we talked about one a couple of weeks ago, right? Like it was listed for 700, but nobody on earth ever thought it would sell for 700. It was like it needed to get way over 800-900 for anybody to buy it. So we got some bullshit listings, all right, and we still do today. But the interesting thing is, sometimes they go. Like honestly, sometimes they get sold, you know, and they do okay. Like it's always the same. It's always okay. We're listing for, we're listing for 1.5 0.1, but nobody's going to take a nickel less than 1.6 or 1.5. And, sometimes they go over ask. That's still not very frequently, but sometimes they go over ask. And then a bunch more, nada. Like, people put it on for low price. There's 50 offers, all of them a version of the low price. The price that nobody expected that they would ever agree for.
Right.
Okay. And then, the weird part is they put it on next week. They put it back on listing for sort of the price they want. Like it's on for like $1.1 million and they wanted $1.6 million. Then they put it on for $1.475 million. Okay.
Yeah.
The next week. I mean, like, what the fuck? What a fantasy land of the way to approach selling something. But anyway, just the way it is. We can't fix it. So I think one of the things, I haven't talked about this before, but I think one of the things that we're sort of seeing is the death of I can't say death on YouTube. You can say the end of the investor for now. I would say the person who's buying rentals.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much gone.
There's been a huge pause for sure.
Huge pause.
Yeah.
And, here's what we see. It's really weird, but like when you see an investor buy single family, it is very, very specific. It is someone who believes they can put 14 international students in their basement.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to make the numbers work. Because the
Basically.
reason for no investors is the numbers don't work.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to lose money,
Of course.
and a lot of money in some cases, unless you got the 14 students paying $850 each. Okay. And not everybody's cool with that.
Course, yeah.
And I honest to God think the condo market's in a little trouble. Okay. Like, don't get me wrong, not every condo, not every situation, but we seem to observe that some of those prices are not going up at all. In fact, they're coming off, especially the super small condos. Looks like that's not a great market to be in. That could be a reflection of the end of Airbnb. It could be a reflection of a lot of things, but that seems to be a puzzling market. Look, I'm not saying the market's dead, because overall there's going to be January wasn't that bad a month. It was not on a 10-year average. It was shit, but it was better than last January in southwestern Ontario. I think February would just be okay. I don't think it'll be brilliant. But I think what we got to realize, folks, is that 2021 ain't coming back anytime soon.
No.
Like maybe not for maybe I'll be dead. By the way, they were talking about that, what to do when I'm dead. Okay. There was a little before, while they were setting the studio up, there's a little discussion of that.
Oh, yeah.
So people are trying to decide, my son take it over, what's going on. And then I sort of thought in my head, with AI, if we could just go back over the old shows, we could splice together some, I just got to remember to wear the same shirt forever, same shirt and tie forever now. And they'll be, in 5 years, if I'm dead, they can splice all the shows together. And then they can keep the live version of you to look like it's add some freshness to it, right? Like
You just never age.
I just never age anymore. We suppress the news of my funeral and we just keep on going. Okay. That's
Oh man,
that's kind of a weird thought. But it with AI.
I like that you're planning ahead though.
With AI, anything is possible.
Literally,
anything is possible.
It's it's the future.
It's the future. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but as far as I'm concerned, probably I'm not going to have to worry about it forever. Okay, I'm not as concerned. All right, what's going on with rates?
They've been going down.
They've been going down a little. When sometimes it's funny, like when we post something about rates being down. Immediately some of the comments will be, wait a second, that's not down. Down is like 2% down.
Give up the dream.
Give up the dream. And not dudes, like, what are you thinking here? You got to get off the edibles, all right? Like, honestly, the rate's now are 5 and, oh, good, they're 3. No, that's not how this thing works, okay?
Very slow and very bumpy.
Jesus Christ, yes, slow and very bumpy. Like, honestly, rates are coming down, and we've said for the last 10 shows, we've said that eventually rates will come down. There will be bumps along the way, a bit of up and down. We're back into the down. The trend is down. Long-term trend is down, but we're back into one of the jogs that took a bump up. Now it's coming back down again. We got, give you some ideas. We have a 3-year fixed between 4.69 for the CMHC insured rate and 5.09 conventional, and maybe somewhere in between. Like you might hit a. It wouldn't be strange to hit a 4.89 for a 5-year right now. But seriously, for a 3-year. For a 3-year, again, between 4.69 for the high ratio insured, up to 5.09, but maybe you get a 4.99 on a 3-year. Now the 5-year, better. 4.54 for 5-year fixed. Again, high ratio CMHC insured purchases. I realize everybody says, "Oh yeah, there's none of that in Ontario. Why are you talking about that?" Well, this show is not just Ontario, folks. Yeah. Okay, like there's a bunch of people in Alberta saying, "Fuck yeah, okay, yeah, I can do that." Yes, okay. There's a bunch of people in the farthest reaches of Ontario. Like there's a few guys in Timmins saying, "Yeah, I can jump on that." But sure, not that much in Ontario, but there are people in this country who can do it, and that's one of the lowest rates we've seen in the last year.
Yeah,
okay,
been a while.
4.54 CMHC insured, 5-year fixed. Now conventional. What if you want a conventional? What if you just want to put 20% down? There's a bunch of 4.99 out there for that. Okay, 4.99 5-year conventional, buy any house. Okay, maybe 4.94 for like $1 million mortgage. They're a little higher. So I kept saying rates would be under 5. They are. They're heading under 5.
Yeah.
You can get mortgage rates for under 5.
Yeah.
Now, what should you do? For those who are thinking of breaking or really investigating converting from a variable to a fixed, it still might be too soon. We're going to still see some lower rates in the summer.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the cuts will come.
They have to eventually. Yeah.
Okay. We need to probably stop overthinking all of these announcements, and just listen to me. Okay. Like I'll tell you what's going to happen. Like I'm going to tell you like 5.5 weeks in advance that there's not going to be any change at the April meeting. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you far in advance.
There's a lot of people that depend on these announcements too.
There's a lot of people spending a lot of fucking time thinking about them. Yeah, it's not that complicated.
Yeah,
okay? It really isn't. Okay, what do I mean by that? Honestly, what I really mean by that is that the central banks, the Western central banks, like I don't know what they're going to do in the Bank of China. I don't know, but the rest of the central banks, we think about Britain, Canada. USA is the big one. The U.S. Federal Reserve is they're the boss, okay? European Central Bank is also very big. They also had no change. I think eventually they just all agree. I know, please, all you conspiracy theorists, calm the fuck down, okay? It's not a conspiracy when people just pick up the phone and talk to each other, okay? Like it's not in a cave with a bell and a book and a candle.
They're thinking it's like a whole ritual.
It's like a whole ritual. It's not a whole ritual.
It's a blood sacrifice.
Yeah, it's not a blood sacrifice to decide about the rates, okay? Conspiracy people, calm the fuck down, okay? It's not a conspiracy. It's just central bankers talking to each other. And they reach a consensus. Some people have to go before, some people have to go early. But eventually they understand what the trend is going to be. And eventually the trend is the rates go down. Because guess what? We're going to cover a couple points in a minute. But I don't think the Canadian economy is really doing all that fucking well. Do you?
No, the numbers are all made up.
But
not made up, but like,
Like, people.
Yeah.
You got friends, you got family. Does everybody think things are going great?
No, of course not. We're in like the worst times. Like how many people I know that are in my age group are like, yeah, I'm just gonna live with my parents because like it's the best
It's the best for me.
Economically, it's the best choice. I'm like, it's our new reality. Like just last week, you were telling me how it was so normal that people by the age of 30 had already bought their house in your time. And then now it's like
100%. Yeah.
We're lucky if we even get an apartment in our name at this point,
Yeah, because the rents are fucked up.
It's so fucked up. Yeah. How do you save money when you're paying like $3,000 a month?
Yeah, it's so fucking true.
For a dog crate in the sky.
Like seriously, I'm looking at a report just out literally this week. Average 10% increase when because some places are rent controlled, right?
Yeah,
and then when they finally roll over, again, talk to the same smart guy about apartment buildings. He says nobody leaves. If it's rent controlled, nobody leaves. You can't even pay them off to leave.
Yeah, but a lot of this is actually the second time now. I think I told you the first time my friend's landlord was like, "Oh, family's moving in." Now I have another friend who's same thing. Her landlord's like, "Oh, I'm moving in. You need to leave." And it's like, she's under, market value.
Yep.
She's rent controlled.
Yep.
Makes the most sense for him to kick her out, live there for a while if they do, and then put it back on the market.
Now, I'm told they're going to have some really strong penalties for the fake family move-in bullshit. I think, but
for how long it takes to get a court date.
Yeah, good luck with the landlord and fucking tenant board. It's a catastrophe in Ontario.
Yeah,
57,000 cases behind. I mean, it's absolutely fucked
bizarre.
So, but he actually talks about professionally, like they're not condo owners, right? The people he works with are they own the whole building, 400 suites and stuff. And sometimes there's turnover some years, right? But he says there's no turnover. There's no turnover. It's in a rent controlled building. Nobody leaves.
Yeah.
So just another indication that because if you don't leave and it's rent controlled, you can live. If you ever have to leave, you are fucked.
You better hope that you find yourself a place that's older than 2018,
or you're gonna go back and live with mom and dad again. And,
basically.
Yeah. It's a hellacious disaster. There's no question about it. So we got a jobs report. We got a jobs report this last week. Jobs report came in, and apparently there have been 41,000 new jobs. Now, strangely, the unemployment rate is up. So what the fuck? Here, let me give you the quick. I'm gonna give you the quick and easy explanation. And this is something that's starting to impact on every single stat we see in Canada. If you bring in 2.4 million adults into the country over the course of 28 months, which is the fastest growth rate. Well, not the fastest, but I think the fastest is Burkina Faso or something, or Syria or something, the fastest growth rate. But, if you're talking about, it's the third fastest growth rate that exists. Okay. Nobody, in the whole damn world.
Yeah.
Okay. On a percentage basis, hardly anybody grows as fast as Canada. Okay. And this is not like childbirth. Childbirth going backwards.
Yeah.
Okay?
We're not having kids.
Yeah, no one's having kids. So that means that they're adults. They just, they're not like little babies who, just gradually, we're going to feed them a little bit and then they're going to eventually start to go to school, but they live in the same house with us. And, these are people who are adults. They show up. They need a car. They need a place to live. They need a job. They need the groceries that are full. They're not being breastfed. Okay. Well, I hope not. But so they're not they need to buy groceries. They need to buy everything. And that's going to pump up the economy in its own way.
Yeah.
And it's going to pump up jobs in its own way.
Yeah.
Okay. Because fuck me, if you bring in 2.4 million people, they just some of them got to look after the ones that have showed up, right? I mean, it's just a growing country. And so it's a kind of a false narrative, right?
Right.
But the reality is that even in that jobs report, public sector employment's up. In other words, people who are sort of working directly or indirectly for the government's up. And sort of part-time self-employed, the gig economy is up. Full-time jobs are down. Even though we had these huge numbers of people to Canada, the full-time salary job is still down, even in a good jobs report. So
yeah, it's really hard to find a full-time job nowadays.
Yeah. So I gotta hand it to friend Steve Saretsky, who's a great realtor out of Vancouver, has a great podcast called The Looney Hour, Saretsky Report, does a lot of great work. Some people online hate him just because he's a realtor. You know, like it's just, we hate every realtor. Okay, calm down. Calm the fuck down, everybody, okay? Steve's a great guy, and he has a beautiful word that he uses for the jobs report. He a beautiful phrase. He calls it the random number generator.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, who the fuck knows if it's right or wrong or it's just made up bullshit? I mean,
it's the same government who miscalculated how many people are actually entering the country. So
yeah, they only missed by like 800,000 at one point. It's just a little miss.
Little bit of a math error.
So, we've all got to start to wrap our mind around the fact that we're going to see some unusual economic reports that don't feel right. Like we got GDP growth. Yeah, but we're all feeling poor. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we got good jobs. Wait a minute. No, nobody's feeling they got a great job, or nobody's feeling, anybody who's out of a job is not having an easy time finding a new one. Okay. So this is the thing we all must understand. The enormous numbers in terms of population growth, they create aberrant results in reports. They create their own results just by bringing in that many people. So we got to start to really adjust to that and think about it harder. Okay, we got some viewer mail. We're going to give you some answers to some questions.
Yes. So this first one says, do you think open room is a good idea? How will this impact the already tight rental market?
Okay, so open room, I think, we should give a quick explanation, right? So open room is the idea that you can look up both landlord and tenant information in terms of governmental filings, right?
Right, yeah.
Like what's gone on in court with this tenant, what's gone on in court with this landlord, what's public record of their typically misdeeds, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Typically fuckery is what's listed in it, right?
What made us take you to court, basically?
Right.
That's what you're finding out.
What the landlord did wrong to end up in some kind of tribunal or court, what the tenant did wrong to end up in some kind of landlord or tenant court. And, I kind of like that. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea, considering the fact that there's going to be a lot of people who take advantage, right? Like I've heard from landlords themselves that they think that tenants have too many rights.
Yep, that's normal.
Right?
Yep.
That's normal. But I think it's important to do your research to know who you're renting your place out to and who you're renting from, right? If they have a bad track record, then, that's good on them. But then at the same time, it's like, I'm sure there's going to be cases of people who got into, some mess or they couldn't pay whatever. And they're actually good people. They just had a bad
situation. Yeah.
So... I think it's good. I think it's good because it's safe.
One thing I like the best about it is it's not just rumor, innuendo, and bullshit. It's like formal, legit situations. Now, there, you have to read the case. You have to decide. These are not necessarily. They're not necessarily all fully fleshed out judgments. But I mean, at least it will tell you a little bit. If it's in court, it's pretty much, it's a lot closer to real than social media. It's a lot closer to real than TikTok, right? I mean, like it was in court. It's the right information. So I kind of like that idea because it's open source, but it's also factual. So I kind of like it.
Yeah, but it can hold people back.
What
if somebody fell hard on their feet and then now all of a sudden they just can't find an apartment whatsoever just because they missed a couple months of payment or whatever? Like it could really suck for somebody who's seriously had a shitty opportunity or a situation.
Listen, here's what we all got to understand. When you have an extremely limited supply crisis like we have, both in rental and in purchase of properties, we have a severe housing crisis. You're going to exacerbate every problem. Everything that can go bad will go worse. Okay, and because let's face it, if there were a ton of homes, there'd be lower rents and it would be more survivable. If there were a ton of rentals, a ton of homes, a ton of opportunity to find different product, which we don't have, particularly in Southwestern Ontario and Vancouver, we don't have that. And it is very impactful. And it does there's nobody, I believe virtually nobody does well in this environment. That's as simple as that.
Yeah. Okay. This one says, 2 different brokers told me I should take a 645 variable instead of a 579 3-year fix because it's a much lower penalty for variable in case I need to break the mortgage. Is that true?
Well, we are hearing a lot more about this. I mean, as the concept floats through that there will be cuts eventually, people start to look at variable again, which is kind of weird, right? Because if you go back 18 months ago, everybody was saying, variable is the devil. We hate you, fucking variable. They should ban variable for fuck's sakes, okay? And everybody was saying, we need 30-year mortgages. Give us a long 30-year mortgages. Which now, all of a sudden, what people are back talking about variable again. Like, let's face it, people are fickle about this shit. People are really fickle.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the story? Okay, variable at what? 645, did we say?
645, yeah.
645.
645.
All right, so a bunch of this stuff, as always, comes down to math, but it's tough math because you're estimating the future of when something's going to happen in the future. So I've been listening to we need variable because it's a 3-month penalty, and that's a better penalty structure than fixed. I've been listening to that for, 29 years. Okay, so a long fucking time, all right? Look, when variable is really low, then I guess it's a super low penalty because it's, if you've got a 1.45 variable, which believe it or not, some people got, okay, back in 2021, not for long at all. They got that in 2021, didn't last. TIF was not telling the truth when he said rates would be low for long. They were not low for long, but I mean, at the people didn't want. It was a great deal, and people took it because it was a super low payment. And it had a super low penalty, right? Because when your payment is super low, your penalty is super low because it's just 3 months. It's 3 months interest. That's it. It's always the same. More complicated formula for fixed. But let's now talk about the real math. The real math is like this guy talked about a 3-year at what? Like
579.
579. Okay, so the 3-year from us is like 509.
So come here.
Well, there's that. But also, let's think about the real math. The real math is 645 because, some of our variable rates are not so great because they're very, very, it's only one thing. It's just a discount from prime, and prime hasn't come down yet. So it's easy. 645, 509, or 499 for a 3-year. Well, that's a big difference, for Christ's sakes. I mean, that's a percent over a percent. So your payments are going to be lower. Your interest cost is going to be lower. And here's the next thing to think about. Why are we talking about breaking the mortgage so soon?
What are your plans?
What are the plans?
You need to know what you're doing to have that flexibility.
Like, here's what gets me about mortgage brokers. I've covered this before. I covered these mortgage brokers who say, well, you should know that, 65% of all mortgages they break the mortgage before the end of 3 years, which is a fucking lie, okay? It's just a fucking lie developed by an 8-foot-tall alien out of Vancouver, okay? And spread across Canada like wildfire, all right? Utter fucking lie, okay? So, get off that for a second, but like, what's going to happen? Sometimes when we talk to people, we will constantly ask this: how long do you expect to stay in the house? Now, of course, things could happen. Things can go wrong. Marriages break down. Things go wrong. Job change, whatever. Yes, some people need to break their mortgage, but nowhere near 65% by 3 years. That's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and some people know a lot better. Like if you've been in the house for a while, your kids are in school there, you're not screwing around on your spouse, okay? And like I'm pretty stable here. I got a good reason to believe we'll be here at least 3 years, okay?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. Even if you have a 3-year fixed, if you have to break the mortgage at 2.5 years, that's not a huge penalty.
Right.
It's not, okay? And, I don't know, Ron. I think there's a lot. Just shut the fuck up. I know what I'm talking about, okay? Like, it is not a huge penalty. People had to worry about it when it was 5 years.
Right.
Because if you broke the mortgage at 3.5 years, there was still 18 months left. And that's where the calculation comes in.
Yeah.
But if you break a mortgage if you break a 36-month mortgage at the 30-month mark, you don't have that much exposure anymore. So your penalty's not going to be unbelievable. And by the way, you're paying less. Like, who knows when that 645 comes down, right? Like, sure, it comes down someday, but how soon and how fast? So the math is really, I believe, more supportive of short-term fixed. Okay, because no matter how you slice it, when you make when you take a variable rate mortgage, you're taking on the risk. Yes, balance of probabilities, it'll be lower, and it will be lower within the next year or two. But how much lower and how fast? Okay.
How much do you have to risk?
Yeah. So my answer to that is consistently, if you absolutely believe you're going to be breaking the mortgage and you have some kind of certainty, well, then just take a 1 year or 2 year. I mean, come on. There's other answers. Okay.
Of course.
Go right ahead.
This one says, what the heck is fraction? My mortgage broker says it's a good option for me because I'm 63 and there would be no payments on the mortgage, but I would get the $175,000 I'm looking for. How does that work?
Okay, so I'm not going to beat up these fraction guys, but I'll touch them up a little bit. Okay, because it's funny when you look at Fraction's website. Fraction is a company; they're a lender. Okay, when you look at Fraction's website, it doesn't talk about. It's hard to figure out what that is. Okay, so my understanding is that Fraction is a reverse mortgage lender. Okay, so if you're a certain age, and certainly 63 is fine, it's a reverse mortgage. In other words, you can take out a mortgage on your house and you don't make any payments because the mortgage grows. The mortgage grows. You're not making any payments because that interest is being added onto your mortgage every single month. That's a reverse mortgage.
Right.
Instead of you paying, the interest is added to the mortgage. So your mortgage is growing and growing and growing. And if you look at being in year 5 of a 5-year reverse mortgage, it's growing pretty fucking fast by the end of 5 years.
Imagine, yeah.
By the way, I'm not beating anybody up about reverse mortgage. Reverse mortgage is a tool, okay? But I am going to beat people up when they try to under-explain it. When they try to sort of sift in the idea that, hey, this is just a solution to your problem. Don't worry about don't worry about the man behind the curtain. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. I mean, you're going to sell it someday anyway. I mean, don't worry. All right, look.
Sleazy.
It's not necessarily sleazy, but it could be. Okay, that's the problem. It could be.
The approach and how they show the customer or the client, that's what's sleazy, especially knowing if they're in an older age and trying to take advantage of that can be, if they don't understand fully what they're getting themselves into, then that's when it's questionable.
Yeah, I'm always wondering why people, it doesn't matter what kind of product it is, why on any website you omit information. Like sometimes I'll go to a mortgage broker's website, you can't find any mortgage rates. There's no rates. Like you're in the mortgage brokerage business. I think you might be in the fucking rate business.
You'd
okay. Yeah, I think that's possible, but there's no rates. Rates are a mystery. You have to call in and find out what might be the rate, or you might just be encouraged to, you have to send us an application before we can tell you what the rate is.
Send in your email and then we'll contact you.
Give us all your contact information. We will hound you for life. Okay. I mean, fuck off. I mean, it's just, if you're advertising a product, just be upfront about what the product is, upfront about what the rates are, upfront about what's possible or not possible. Just try to be as honest as you can about what you're offering. I mean, don't hide anything. So to answer that question is, you know what? That's essentially right. You can get money out of your property with a reverse mortgage. You can get money out of your property and you don't have to make payments, but the mortgage grows. Okay, that's as simple as that. So if you want $175,000 and you don't want to make payments, as long as you know all of the aspects of it, everything, it's very clear to you what's going on.
Go for it.
Yeah. Maybe take it. Maybe there's some other ways of doing it. Yeah. I don't know.
Just know what you're doing.
And the one thing I will say, on the good side of getting a reverse mortgage, it's easier to get. It's easier to get a reverse mortgage. It's more expensive. It's higher interest rate, but it is much easier for people to unlock the equity in their homes if that's what they absolutely must do. I'm not a big fan of taking equity out of houses, but anyway, if that's what you must do, and you don't have any other means of doing it, then I think I'm okay with it. I mean, but you gotta X out every other fucking possible way out first. That's a cheaper interest rate and is more. You might be able to manage some payments. Okay,
Explore your options, basically.
explore like fucking crazy. Okay, because you will if you get this 175,000. When you come back to look at it in 5 years, it'll be a fuck of a lot more than 175,000. So just everybody just keep that in mind. Okay. Which brings us to our favorite part of the program.
What the actual fuck?
And I am going to do something that's a bit repetitive, but it makes me so fucking mad that I think it's worth repeating. I want to talk about Arrive scam again. Okay. And why I got set off on Arrive scam is that there's a member of parliament stood up and said, hey, I think everybody should stop calling it Arrive scam and go back to calling it ArriveCan. Because I think that calling it Arrive scam undermines the public's trust in government.
Oh, that's what undermined my trust, for sure. Not the fact that billions of taxpayer dollars went to this scam. Of course, the name is what does it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we will all trust the fucking government if you just call it by the right shit. Okay. Like, don't call it, don't say anything negative. Okay. Just be positive. No matter how you are getting fucked. Okay. just have a good attitude.
Just take it with a smile.
Exactly. Say it with a smile. Don't be negative. Negative bad. Okay. What the fuck? Stealing is bad. Okay. Fuck. It just gets this thing, and I want to come back to it because it just never fucking ends. Like the madness never ends with this thing.
Yeah.
So as I said in another episode, as I posted online, the guy, one of the main guys behind Arrive scam, I'm going to keep calling it what it is, works for the government, which, as far as I know, is illegal. Okay, you can't work and be a contractor.
Working?
You can't. Oh, well, the government smartened up and got tough, and they suspended him. He's still getting paid. Fuck.
Got it.
All right. So, yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, it turns out this guy's been doing the same thing. Like, I get a lot of replies on posts about this, a lot of comments from the public about this. And there's some comments that, like, I can't tell you whether they're true or not, but they're fucking scary. Okay. They're like, oh, yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. There's a number of others who've been doing this. There's a bunch of other people. These are comments that are coming in on my posts. This is the way.
The fact that some people are not surprised it's pretty scary. Yeah.
Not just not surprised. They're saying, yeah, I watched this go on in my department, a different department.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Like it turns out that one of the main whistleblowers was one of the people they hired to help out on the app. Okay. Like, but it just keeps on coming. Like there's no end to this thing. There's no end to this insanity of, yeah, we think he's doing something over here in Indigenous affairs. We think he's done a bunch of apps over there. Or we think these other guys who are very similar have done a bunch of other apps for the Department of Defense, okay? We think that this is just fucking endless, okay?
Yeah.
Endless disintegration of fucking money, all right?
Of our money.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, it's getting to be tax time in Canada. It's not just starting. It's just starting. Everybody's getting their T4s. We'll do tax some other episode, but the tax in Canada is getting fucked up. Okay. So it's our money. Absolutely. It's our money. And I want to ask the best possible question about this stuff. If somebody started with an opening bid of 80,000 or less, and then ended up at 2.3, and then somehow it's 60 fucking million just on the one app, okay? And nobody can understand where the fuck the money went. Like, okay, well, we had some subcontractors. Okay, but you kept 17 million, and apparently you did sweet fuck all, okay? Wow. Well, we supervised. It's not. Oh, fuck you, you bastard! Supervising isn't fuck. If supervising somebody else's work isn't worth $17 million fucking dollars when you're working out of your basement, for fuck's sake. Oh, and by the way, you're already employed by the government, you motherfucker. Okay, so hey, let's just ask the real, true, and honest question: where the fuck are the cops? Like, I haven't heard about any cops yet. Okay, I haven't heard about the RCMP saying, "Okay, sir, we're going to seize your computer because we think you're a fucker."
An investigation would be nice.
How about a real serious judicial investigation? How about we appoint a judge, appoint an ex-judge, and let's get really fucking serious. Let's take testimony. Let's just figure out, let's go to all these departments, and every motherfucker in the federal government who had a contract to build an app, provide an app, let's fucking look under every fucking rug and figure out what's going on here.
Yeah.
Okay? Because there's obviously things are going really fucking wrong.
We get taxed way too much for this type of bullshit.
So much. And this guy, like, I'm dead serious. These guys who did this thing, what the fuck is stopping a Crown prosecutor telling the RCMP, go and seize those fucking computers. Go and seize this. Go and seize their records. Go and fucking grab it. Go grab it now so we can figure out the fucking charges. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, these guys are just walking around free as birds, okay? Like, getting, whatever money they haven't sent offshore is gone by now, for fuck's sakes.
100%.
Like, it's like they're actually sort of proud of it. Like, oh, yeah. I honestly believe it's the big fuck you to the Canadian public. You guys don't arrest anybody. You guys don't even investigate properly. We got away with it for years.
Slap on the wrist.
Or no slap.
Not even.
Or no slap. Pat on the head. Fuck me. Like, all right, Government of Canada, Crown prosecutors, here's my last word. Send the cops to these fucking ArriveCan bastards, okay? Get the cops on them. Sick the cops on them. They just act like rational fucking people. If we'd have been in the United States, the FBI, it would have been in there in October, for fuck's sakes, okay? They would have grabbed every fucking thing, and we'd have charges by now. So, cops, RCMP, Crown prosecutors, ArriveCan, go and fuck with these guys. Thank you.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.